The trio remained silent, walking along behind the 7 cats. They knew better than to talk to each other. Tensions were still high among the warriors. Still, Riverpaw felt more at ease now that her friends were there, walking beside her. They made their way up the steep mountain slope, hopping from ledge to ledge. The stream splashed down the slope beside them. Moss grew on the smooth stones bordering the stream, green and lush in the otherwise desolate area. As they continued forward, the wind became harsh, growing in strength. A particularly strong gust buffeted the cats, and they pressed themselves to the stone, squinting against the gale. A crack rang from above, and Riverpaw looked up. The ledge Featherfall crouched upon had dislodged from the side of the mountain. With a fearful yelp, the cream she-cat tried to jump from the falling rocks, but gravity pulled her down. A flash of gray fur darted past Riverpaw and collided with Featherfall in midair. Ashheart had launched himself toward her, knocking her aside and onto another ledge. They landed, tangled together. Ashheart straightened, panting. Are you all right? Featherfall stared up at him for a moment with wide eyes. She must have been dazed, because it took a few moments for her usually irritated expression to return. Of course I am. Get off me, Featherfall finally said. Ashheart withdrew, allowing the Shadow Clan cat to stand. Featherfall instantly sat and began to lick her chest fur, obviously embarrassed. I guess that's a warning to all of us. Watch where you step, Gingerpelt called. Riverpaw glanced back at Echopaw and Stonepaw with worried eyes. Echopaw smiled and hopped quickly from ledge to ledge, passing Riverpaw. Come on, it's fine. Just be quick and light on your feet. Like hunting a mouse. With this in mind, the cats continued up the slope, placing paws uneasily upon rocks. It seemed like hours before they reached somewhat level ground. By that time, the sun had sunk behind the horizon, and Riverpaw finally felt the anger had dissipated. Looking up at the darkening sky, she murmured, Where does the sun go during the night? She hadn't intended anyone to hear her, but naturally Echopaw was close by. The Journey of 6 tells us that the sun is drowned in a huge expanse of water every night. Riverpaw cast her friend a quizzical look. It's true, the tortoiseshell she-cat insisted. When the 6 chosen cats went to visit Midnight, they actually saw the sun drown. I heard from the elders that the 6 cats almost drowned in those waters as well. Okay, so if that story is true, then how does the sun rise again the next day? Riverpaw asked, skeptical. The 10 cats made their way along a stone path that twisted through the mountains. Echopaw replied, Well, this is just my theory, but I think when the sun drowns, it just cools down, and that's what the moon is. And when the moon sets, instead of going into water, maybe it goes into a fire. Then the moon turns into the sun again. Yeah, but the sun and the moon both rise in the east and set in the west. How can the moon go into fire and the sun into water if they both fall in the same place? Stonepaw asked. The sun and moon are both really big, Stonepaw. It may look like they set in the same place, but maybe they actually don't. Maybe the water is right beside the fire. That makes no sense, Stonepaw exclaimed. Yes, it does. What if the fire and water are separated by a rock wall? That would mean they wouldn't affect each other, Echopaw countered rapidly. Her eyes blazed with excitement, and she looked up at the sky, growing blue and purple as the moon rose. Just imagine, if you could walk along that stone wall, blazing fire on one side and a powerful pool of water on the other. Riverpaw tried to imagine such a sight. Maybe you'll visit this land of fire and water when you become a Star Clan cat, the brown apprentice suggested. The trio fell silent, and Riverpaw felt content. It had been a while since they had a strange conversation like that. She had missed them. Suddenly, a cry split the tranquil evening. The clan cats froze instantly, hearts thumping. The cry carried on, long and solemn. As it died away, another, similar cry took its place. Then, yet another sang in harmony with the second cry. Soon, there was a chorus of echoing calls, rolling over the hills, resounding against the rocks and filling the air. Riverpaw's claws scraped the stone floor, and she was thrown back into her dream the night before. The cat in the mist. It had appeared alongside those calls. Without thinking, Riverpaw looked around rapidly, wondering if she might catch a glimpse of the mysterious figure among the rocks. The calls died away, and River saw nothing. What was that? Gingerpelt whispered. Wolves, Wolfclaw murmured. The cat stared at him. I got my name from an old tale in my clan. It tells of enormous dogs with razor-sharp teeth and huge paws called wolves. I heard that they cried just like that. It's how they signal each other, Wolfclaw told them. Riverpaw imagined the terrifying creatures leaping from behind the rocks, eyes blazing with hunger. She sunk into a battle stance, eyes wide. Flashes of training from both the city and ThunderClan were rising in her mind. She jumped as a tail rested softly on her shoulders and glanced up to find Ashheart sitting beside her. Relax, he murmured. Riverpaw tried her best, sheathing her claws. She took a breath. If there are creatures out here like that, we should find shelter, Riverpaw meowed shakily. No, Duskfall said, and for once his tone was serious. He looked at the other cats with clear blue eyes. We should keep going. The tribe can't be far away now. If we stop and look for shelter, we could end up lost in the dark with those things. Rowan Shadow flattened his ears. And if we continue, the same could be true. We don't really know the way. We've only been following the stream. If we stop for shelter, at least we'll be safe for the night. Look around, though, Ashheart put in. Do you see any real shelter? The cats shifted uneasily, and Riverpaw couldn't help but flick her tail in nervous frustration. All around were barren spots with the occasional rocky outcropping. Nothing that provided any real safety. Whatever we decide, let's not spend time standing around. We have to keep moving. The she-cat said this more to herself than anyone, knowing that the others may not listen to an apprentice's suggestion. Still, it seemed Mosslegs had the same concern, as the she-cat mewed. Let's keep moving for now. If we see shelter, we'll stop. But if not, we keep going until we discover the tribe. The others seemed okay with this, and the clan cats started forward again. They placed their paws carefully, moving with the caution of one who is hunting a mouse. They made it a ways further through the cliffs and gorges when another call sounded. Immediately, the 10 froze and tensed. They remained frozen until the calls died and started forward again, pressing their pelts together. The only comfort was the moon rising overhead, casting a far bit of silvery light on their surroundings. With wide eyes, the cats could keep an eye on every shadow. Ears pricked for the slightest shift on the rocky slopes. Riverpaw glanced at her friends, seeing their fearful blue and golden eyes staring around uneasily. She wished she could comfort them, but in truth, they looked as scared as she felt. After wandering in this tense state, following the trickling of the stream for what seemed like an eternity, they heard a strange sound from ahead. As one, the clan cats paused and tasted the air. There was a musty scent drifting on the breeze, and the sound grew louder as they tentatively advanced. It was a roaring. The roaring of a waterfall. Hope bloomed in their chests, and the cats hurried forward over a sharp ledge. Before them, a pool caught the moonlight, rippling as a tumbling cascade of water fell in great currents from a ledge high above, frothing into the large, circular pool below. Riverpaw found herself frozen in wonder, marveling at the sight. The pool seemed still in its center, then flowed right until it reached another waterfall, dropping away out of sight. The rocks here were smooth and slippery, and one could see a few lush bushes and bundles of grass poking from between the rocks. Strange flowers bloomed here and there, and Riverpaw could smell the life that surrounded the pool. Immediately, the dark night did not seem so menacing, despite the thundering of the waterfall. A shift in the shadows near the pool made Riverpaw prick her ears. The others noticed it too, and after a moment, a cat appeared. It advanced quickly, eyes glinting at them through the darkness. Identify yourself, the strange cat meowed as it deftly hopped over the slippery rocks towards them. We are clan cats. From the west, Rowan Shadow answered, raising his voice over the roaring waterfall. The stranger's eyes widened and he stopped before them, bowing his head. His pelt was covered in streaks of mud, making it hard to know exactly what he looked like. But his eyes shone green, and his figure was broad and well-muscled. It is an honor to meet the cats of the clans. My name is Tiger that swims in lake, of the tribe of Rushing Water. I will take you immediately to our healer. He will be pleased that you have come. Tiger beckoned with his tail and bounded back down the rocks toward the pool. The clan cats followed more slowly, half sliding on the moss. When they reached the base of the slope, Tiger turned and padded along the stone wall, disappearing behind the waterfall. Riverpaw watched in fascination, keeping close to her clanmates, as they padded forward. There was a small path behind the rushing curtain, and as they padded carefully forward, Riverpaw made out the figure of another tribe cat guarding the entrance to a cave. This cat's pelt was clean, and he watched them with surprise in his blue eyes. The clan cats padded past him without a word, too busy gaping at what lay beyond. Moonlight spilled through the blanket of water into the space before them. Shadows hung heavily in the corners, but one could make out the vast cave. Long, sharp stones hung from the ceiling like bats, and Riverpaw wondered nervously if any had ever fallen. Pillars of rock reached up from the floor as well, and between these pillars one could see a large clearing, much like the Sandy Hollow and ThunderClan camp. Here and there along the stone walls, tunnels could be seen, disappearing into darkness. "Come, our healer is this way," Tiger said, leading the way to one of the tunnels. He gestured for them to wait while he ducked into the pall of black. The clan cat sat nervously. Featherfall's tail flicked in annoyance. Ashheart sat with his paws together and chest puffed out, staring patiently straight ahead. Gingerpelt and Rowan Shadow were talking in low murmurs to each other. Mosslegs was cleaning her chest, while Duskfall squinted into the darkest end of the space. Wolfclaw sat in silence, regarding the cave with distrust in his pale yellow eyes. Riverpaw kept her eyes on her paws, mind whirling. Here they were at last, in the tribe's very camp. Cloud is here. The she-cat suddenly felt her blood run cold. All those moons ago, when they had separated, it had been her fault. She had lost track of him, and hadn't had the courage to go back and look for him. Even before they ran, that day had been... She lowered her head, wrapping her tail more tightly around herself. Will Cloud even want to see me? I was so wrapped up in the thought of seeing my family again. I didn't even think about... How did I think this was a good idea? Riverpaw shook her head, trying to dispel the growing terror spreading from her stomach. "Hello." Riverpaw looked up, so lost in thought that she hadn't even realized Tiger had returned, and with him, a large tabby tomcat. The newcomer's pelt was long, dark gray, his whiskers bent down toward the ground, and his eyes were clear blue. She could tell from his white muzzle that he was an elderly cat, but his rippling muscles told her he was not weak. "I am the healer of this tribe," he said. His voice was deep and soft, like the shadows of the cave. "My name is Teller of Pointed Stones, but you can call me Stone Teller. I hear from Tiger that you are not of the mountain." The clan cats exchanged a glance, and Rowan Shadow stepped forward. He dipped his head. "I am Rowan Shadow of RiverClan, and I will speak for my party. You are right. We come from far to the west. We were sent to this mountain by our ancestors." Stone Teller's blue eyes lit up with excitement. "My tribe has many stories regarding clan cats. Some of your kin helped us in times of great need. The name Feathertail is highly respected here. It is an honor to have you here again." He dipped his head, and the clan cats did the same hastily. Riverpaw glanced at her mentor to find his amber eyes sparkling. He must really want to swap stories, she thought with a small grin. "Tell me," Stone Teller continued, "why did your ancestors, StarClan I believe, send you here?" "Well, they told us that your tribe is in danger. They sent us here to see whether we could help. Also," Rowan Shadow glanced at Riverpaw, whose heart skipped a beat. Stone Teller followed his gaze, and he stared at the apprentice. Her terror, however, briefly dispelled, began to surface again. "Go on," Ashheart murmured, but Riverpaw remained frozen. She took a breath, forcing herself forward. "Stone Teller," she began, voice shaking. "I can't hesitate now. He's my brother. It'll be fine. I have to see him again, no matter what." She lifted her head. "I was told by StarClan that my brother is here." Stone Teller's ears pricked. "Really? What is his name?" "Cloud," Riverpaw said faintly. Stone Teller fell silent, deep in thought. Finally, he turned to Tiger and murmured something Riverpaw did not catch. The mud-spattered tom slipped away, and Riverpaw watched him disappear into the shadows of another tunnel. Her blood was pulsing in her ears, so she barely heard what Stone Teller said next. "Forgive me," the healer meowed. "I believe that your brother is here." Moons ago, 2 young cats were rescued from the edge of our territory. My memory has grown a bit faint, so I do not remember either cat's original names, but one of them goes by Cloud that drifts in skies now. So there is a strong possibility that he is your brother. Riverpaw's head was spinning, but she managed to nod. Tiger reappeared with someone behind him. As the two approached, Riverpaw's heart leapt into her throat. The new cat's eyes shone a pure blue in the darkness. "Is this your brother?" Tiger meowed. Riverpaw stared at the white tom before her. No one spoke, and the 2 cats gazed at each other in shock.